Ecclesiastes, a season is set for everything. A time for every experience under heaven, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. The time of mourning is a complicated time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with a recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Dorothy's life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God. I'm going to do Psalm 23 first in Hebrew, and then we'll do it in English together in your little pamphlet. Mizmor David, Adonai rui lo echsa, binot tesheya bitzeni, Amei menuchot yenahaleni, nafshi yeshovev, nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'maglei tzedek leman shemo, gam ki elech begeit zamahaveh, lo irara, ki ata imadi, shivtecha, umishantecha, shivtecha, umishantecha, hema yenachamuni, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, taroch lefanai shulchan, neged zorevan, nishanta v'Hashem en roshi, nishanta v'Hashem en roshi, nishanta v'Hashem en roshi, kosi revaya, achtov v'chesed, yedefuni, po yemei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai, v'shavti beveit Adonai, le'orach yamim. Inside in your program, on the inside in English, please join me. The Lord is my
shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Ashet Pile, a woman of valor or strength. Ashet Pile minsa v'rachok mitmimi michabatach balevala v'shala lo yeksa gemalchuto v'lo ra koyem mecha yehadarshat semeu fishtim Fata'af v'chafetz kapeha Hayta koniyot socha Mimechak tavilachna V'takom be'od laila Vatiten terek leveta v'chokonotecha Zama masade v'tikacheru Mifricha shor v'chapeha tafufale. Kapa parsa la'oni ve'yadeha shilcha la'ev yomotira leveita mishalek kicho beita lavushanim mavadim astala shesh gamam levusha noda b'sharim bala v'shito im zikne aretz sadin astavatim kor v'chagor natna laknani Oz v'hada levusha v'tischach liyom acharon v'hapotcha v'chochma v'torah chesed al lishona Sophia lichot beita v'lechem akulot ochel Hanu v'nea v'yashruha bala v'halala Rabot banot asu chayil ve'at alit al kulana sheker hachem ve'hevel hayofi isha yirat Adonai hitit hala tenula mipri yadeha v'haleluha bashari maseha. From Proverbs 31, I'm going to read it in English. A woman of strength who can find? Beyond pearls is her value. Her husband's heart trusts in her. Gain shall not be lacking for him. She does him only good, no harm, all the days of her life. She seeks out wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. From afar she brings her food. She rises while it is yet night and gives food to her household and a portion to her maids. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She girds with might her loins and strengthens her arms. She senses her wares are good. Her lamp never goes out at night. Her hands she extends the distaff, and her palms grasp the spindle. Her palms she opens to the poor. Her hands she extends the needy. She has no fear for her household from the snow, for all her household are clothed in finery. Covering she makes herself, fine linen and purple are her garb. Her husband is known at the gates, where he sits with the elders of the land. A sheet she makes and sells, a sash she supplies the merchant. Strength and dignity are her garb, as she laughs at future days. Her mouth she opens in wisdom, a lesson in kindness is on her tongue. She watches the conduct of her household. The bread of sloth she never eats. Her children rise up to make her happy. Her husband praises her. Many women have excelled, but you surpass them all. Grace is deceitful. Beauty is illusory. A woman who fears God, she shall be praised. Give her credit for the fruit of her labors. May her deeds always praise her at the gates. First, I'm going to give a eulogy to Dorothy, and then I'm going to read a letter that Michael and Barbara wrote. There is an ancient and beautiful legend that tells us how God sent a ministering angel to earth to bring back to him the three things which were the most nearly divine, objects worthy of a place in heaven. When the angel came to earth, he entered a garden. He saw there a rose in bloom, and thinking it to be divinely beautiful, he plucked the rose. He next passed a house where, looking into the window, he saw an infant sleeping in a crib. He was struck by the infant's placid, peaceful smile and thought it worthy of a place in heaven. He then flew back and forth over the earth, wondering what the third thing should be. Suddenly, he saw a mother devotedly going about her work, and he took the mother's love to heaven. The legend describes how shortly afterwards the rose withered, losing its beauty. The child awakened from his sleep, and no longer peaceful and placid, began to cry. The only thing that remained in heaven, as it was on earth, was the love of the mother. We know from our experience that the most divine gift we are privileged to enjoy is the love of our mothers, their devotion to our welfare, and their faithfulness to their families. Dorothy Schatz was a true Am B'Yisrael, a Jewish mother in the best and most wonderful sense, not only to her children, but also to her extended family. And the love she showed to all who she cared for and who cared for her was certainly a gift. Dorothy Paydelman Schatz was born on October 1st, 1921 in Omaha, Nebraska, to Russian immigrants. She was the third of 4 children, but the first one born in the United States. Dorothy's father, Meyer, came over to the U.S. in 1910 to establish himself with a family. Dorothy's mother and 2 sisters, Sid and Utta, followed 10 years later in 1920. Dorothy was born a year later, followed by her younger brother Mel a year after that. Dorothy grew up in a religious Orthodox Jewish home where even if finances were tight, love was always present in abundance. An incredibly intelligent child, Dorothy skipped 3 grades in school and received 10 A's at age 10, which got her featured in a newspaper. Later on, she was in National Honor Society and the lead, Peg, in Peg of My Heart, for her class's senior play. Dorothy loved drama and was a talented and natural actress. She was even accepted at Northwestern University's drama program, but she knew her family would not be able to afford it, so she declined to attend. It was very disappointing for Dorothy, but then, as throughout her life, she did not complain. Dorothy was never a complainer, but moved on to shape her life in a different way. It was an AZA convention in Lincoln, Nebraska, where she met the love of her life and her husband of 62 and a half years, Sheldon Schatz. Sheldon was there playing basketball. Of course, Dorothy, never the sports lover, was not there to play basketball. But a friend of Sheldon's asked him to look across the room and see who appealed to him, and it was Dorothy who he pointed to. Dorothy and Sheldon began dating in early 41. After Pearl Harbor, they discussed whether or not they wanted to postpone getting married, but they decided to move forward in spite of the uncertainty in the world. On New Year's Eve, they were engaged and they were married on June 28, 1942. Right after Sheldon and Dorothy returned from their honeymoon, Sheldon received his induction papers into the service. The next few years would see Sheldon and Dorothy sometimes together on military bases, but often separated by the war, especially when Sheldon was sent over to Guam and Dorothy returned home to Des Moines, where she and Sheldon had chosen to settle. After the war ended, Sheldon and Dorothy welcomed first their son Michael into their family, followed 4 years later by Barbara. Dorothy's true calling was as a mother. She was as caring and supportive as she could be, and she was so proud of her children, and so they wanted to make her proud of them. Dorothy and Sheldon's devotion as parents was something that cannot be taken for granted. Michael recalled being out with friends as an adult and feeling like he was the only one at the table of 8 that could recount an overwhelmingly positive and loving upbringing. For Sheldon and Dorothy, their children were the most important parts of their lives. They taught their children the value of appreciation. Dorothy even thanked the doctor for giving her a girl when she woke up after giving birth to Barbara, because she had wanted 2 children, a boy and a girl. Dorothy was always very conscientious, perhaps to a fault, but she more than anyone instilled in her children the value of trying to do the right thing, even when it was hard. Dorothy and Sheldon always wanted their children to have as much as they could give and didn't want them to miss out. Barbara remembered fondly a PTA lunch at school that she had to miss because she was homesick. Dorothy found out what the menu was and recreated the entire lunch for Barbara at home. There was a feeling that both Barbara and Michael were raised as only children in terms of the level of devotion and attention that each of them received. They were loved and doted on equally and thoroughly. Even when Tiger the dog found Dorothy and her family, she cared for him too, though she would have not called herself a dog person. It is fitting that Dorothy's Hebrew name was Dova, which means female bear, since mother bears are known for being affectionate, protective, devoted, sensitive, and attentive with their young. Bears also have a keen sense of community, are peaceful, thoughtful, trustworthy, and that is especially true of a mother and her cubs. They have a jolly sense of humor too, though, and curiosity and compassion, just like Dorothy did. Dorothy's humor came out in the parody songs she started and then were continued as a family tradition. The first one came to her while she was ironing, the tune of "You've Gotta Be a Football Hero," creating a parody song for Sheldon's parents' anniversary, and they even put it on a record. I tried to fit some kind of parody song in, but I have a sense that I am nowhere near as talented as she was at these. She continued to send parody songs along with family to events, even if she couldn't make it herself, and of course was regaled with them by her own family at special birthdays and celebrations. Dorothy's fierce love for her family didn't just stop with her immediate family. She has to this day been remembered by many of Michael and Barbara's friends as a second mother, and Dorothy's extended family, many of you I know are watching today, were all the lucky recipients of Dorothy's care and love through so many calls, cards, and gifts, and of course those amazing parody songs. For many years, Dorothy loved to talk on the phone and was known as a talker, but she was also known as a very good listener. It went two ways for her. She particularly enjoyed her conversations with Sheldon's sister Millie. They became really close after Sheldon and Dorothy were married. Physically, Dorothy may have had challenges with her heart, suffering in her later years first from a heart attack and then congestive heart failure. But in the figurative sense, Dorothy's heart was strong, boundless, and her love for her family and friends knew no end. Dorothy was a fabulous cook, so Barbara's PTA lunch at home was likely an incredible lunch. When Dorothy got married, she actually didn't know how to cook because her mother had always cooked, but she learned fast and well. Dorothy, a beautiful, great lady, always had a lovely figure and was more interested in cooking than eating. Though she did love making and cooking, I'm getting to it, don't worry. Though she did love making and cooking Jewish food like chopped liver and matzo ball soup, and was perhaps most remembered for her cinnamon rolls, it was the Schatz side that taught the kids how to eat. So the joke was that in her later years, as she enjoyed her food more, Dorothy really became a Schatz. When Barbara was 10, Dorothy went to work full-time for Sheldon in his insurance office and continued to work for him for many years until Sheldon retired. Dorothy was a working mom and a homemaker, but she always found a way to balance everything and be present for everyone. After Sheldon retired, they spent their time together being social with friends, going to the Des Moines Playhouse and the movies, and just being with each other until Sheldon's death in 2004. Dorothy also loved playing mahjong and bridge, playing mahjong into her 90s. She was very active in the synagogue, had an adult bat mitzvah, and was the first woman at Tifereth to have an aliyah to Torah at the high holidays. She was thrilled to have her family engaged in Judaism however they could be, and really kept the traditions going as much as she could. Dorothy began experiencing a lot of health challenges when Sheldon was still alive, and he cared for her. There was concern in the family about how Dorothy would manage after Sheldon passed away, but she was still able, thanks especially to her wonderful caregiver, Florence, to have an incredible quality of life. She never lost the spark that made her the witty, loving, generous, and conscientious person she always was. In the last 15 years, it was family, eating, doing the daily jumble, and video poker that kept her active and engaged. Another family joke was that her two favorite loves were family and video poker at Prairie Meadows, but the order of the preference changed often. Over the years, Dorothy lost the physical ability to do many things, but she handled whatever came to her and found meaning in her life and ways to appreciate what she had. Dorothy was always expressing gratitude and wanting people included, needing to know how the people she loved were doing. Even when she was in the hospital these past few weeks dealing with her own illness, it was important for her to know how everyone else was, and as long as they were okay, she was okay. Dorothy was an amazing woman, strong emotionally and spiritually, if not always physically. A loving wife, mother, grandmother, and friend, tirelessly moving through life devoted to those she cared about for so many years. She found ways to appreciate life even when it knocked her down, and was grateful for all that she did have. I brought the selection from Proverbs, the woman of valor, in the beginning because it sums Dorothy up so well, who she was and what she brought to the world. And as the writer asks, may we now, and whenever we think of her, say, many women have excelled, but you surpass them all. Give her credit for the fruit of her labors. May her deeds always praise her at the gates. And though physically her mother's love may have left this earth, the love she has left in so many hearts will never, ever, ever go away. Yehi Zichra Baruch. May Dorothy's memory always be full of blessing. May God comfort her son Michael, her daughter Barbara, her grandchildren Carly and David, and great-grandchildren Elliot and Miles, her many nieces and nephews, an extended family, and all who knew her and cared for her, and of course, loved her. I'm now going to read a letter from Michael and Barbara to their mom. Letter to Mom, May 17th, 2020. Dear Mom, you and Dad always taught us to show our appreciation, so we want to take this opportunity to thank you one last time for everything you have done for us. Most importantly, you have been the best mom anyone could ever be. You always made us feel that you were proud of us no matter what we did. We constantly felt that we were the top priority in your life. You gave us unconditional love and never-ending support. There are so many things that you taught us that we appreciate, but a few things really stand out. You taught us how to be conscientious in every situation. You taught us the value of considering the feelings of others, and that the way to deal with people was with warmth and caring. You taught and modeled always trying to do the right thing under any circumstance. And you taught us the importance of family. You and Dad attended every family occasion you were physically able to. Even after Dad passed away, you still made it to several family celebrations and invited all of the family to 2 of your own special birthdays. We also certainly appreciated the amazing strength and wonderful attitude you exhibited. Since Dad had done so much for you when he passed away, we worried about you being on your own. But you showed us that you were fully capable of going on. We know how much you miss Dad, but you rarely complained about that or anything else. You took what life gave you and always tried to make the best of it. What an inspiration you were. We can't write this and not mention food. We remember 2 lines from our childhood that always made you and us smile. In early elementary school at the Mother's Day program, each child stood in front of the class and described, quote, what my mother meant to me. I, Michael, proudly got up there and said, my mother feeds me breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And indeed, you did. We can remember all the wonderful meals you prepared for us and our extended family, and your cinnamon rolls were legendary. The love of food in the family led to the second line we remember. There was often talk about Dad going on a diet when we were growing up. And I, Barb, evidently said, who is going to stay with me when you go on a diet? You were certainly always the nurturing mom in every way, with food being only the most concrete example. In summary, Mom, you have been an extraordinary role model as a mother, a spouse, and a person, not only for us, but for our children, Carly and David, and for our extended family as well. We will certainly miss you, but you will always be with us in who we are and who we want to be. All our love, Michael and Barb. So now, as is Jewish tradition, we're going to bury Dorothy ourselves, and I ask that we cover the top of the casket with earth. After we've lowered her down, I will say a short blessing when we lower her down in Hebrew and English, and then we will pay her the ultimate kindness in Jewish tradition, which is to bury her ourselves, because it's an act of kindness that she can never repay to us. So that's the main reason why we do it, as a big act of kindness and act of gratitude it's something you don't want to be doing. You don't want to be saying goodbye. And so that upside down shovel is a sign of regret that you have to do this. And then typically people do 2 other shovels or 1 other shovel the right way, like the normal shovel way. And then you put the shovel in the earth because, again, you don't want to gladly hand it off to someone else, but sometimes the shovel falls and sometimes people need help, and if you do pass it off to someone else, nothing's going to happen to you. But that's traditionally why people leave it in the earth if you're not sure why that happens. And like I said, we're going to keep going until the top of the casket is covered completely.
Sir, I'm videotaping this.
So you're gonna film the rest, Sarah?
She is.
Okay, but I know that then people can't see Kaddish and all of that stuff then.
Well, she's gonna videotape. She's videotaping right now.
I don't have a way of live streaming it to them, unfortunately.
So you wanna try to get
Yeah, I'll speak.
What?
We're almost done. And then
you wanna make sure you get the prayers.
I'm going to, Mom.
it's not too much.
I mean, Mom, you could FaceTime them if you wanted.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could FaceTime. And it's in real time. We're almost done with the show.
Do you want me to? If somebody could grab this phone and just, or can you do it, Mom? No, not Facebook. Call them on your phone, except you're gonna collect on FaceTime.
Who do I call?
Barb and Michael.
Both of them?
Yes. I don't know if you I don't know if multi-person. It might be one or the other. You can do multi-person. Okay. So you see the FaceTime option?
Yes.
Okay, click on FaceTime. Now you're gonna need to turn the camera away from you. No. Yep. Yeah, go ahead. Hi. We're gonna FaceTime you into the cottage.
Okay.
And we're trying to get Michael. She's gonna help you, Mom. Can you turn the camera for her? Sorry.
Then you call the second number. Hi, I'm Jody. I'm not sure how old her phone is. She might not be able to.
And this is to turn it.
So we finished it covering the top of Dorothy's casket. Now I'm going to do the El Malay Rachamim, the prayer, memorial prayer for her in Hebrew and English, and then we're going to do Kaddish. El Malay Rachamim, Shochen Vamrumim, Hamsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Ashkina. במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מסתירים. את נשמת טובה בת מאיר וחמסי, שהלכה לעולמה, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתה. Roar b'tzroach hayim et nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata, v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava, v'nomar amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Dorothy Schatz, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul always be bound up in the bond of life, in the bond of love, in the bond of good memories. May she rest in peace always. And let us say, Amen. Mourner's Kaddish is on the outside of your book, if anyone wants to say it with me. Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Rabba ve'alma divra pirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael v'agala u'bizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam u'lamei Amaya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitaleh, v'yithalal, shemei k'kudashah b'richu, le'ela minkol birchata, v'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, da'amiran ve'elma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chaim aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru Amen. And I will say both to you, Barb and Michael, I hope your mother's memory is always a blessing for you. And the traditional greeter to mourners, which everybody here can say, is Hamakom Yinachem Etchem B'Tok Sha'ar Avalei Tzion B'Yerushalayim. May God comfort you along with all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem, which harkens all the way back to when the temple was destroyed. But what I will say to you is that the name of God in that blessing is Hamakom, which is the place. It's not actually God's Adonai name that we normally know. So I think part of that is because when somebody dies, even if you've had them in your life for a very long time and we're blessed with all of those years, it's still incredibly difficult, and sometimes it can be very hard to find God. So Hamakom, the place, I hope that in your hearts and in your minds in these next however many days, months, years, when you think of your mother, you always find a place somewhere that gives you great comfort. You're welcome. Maybe it's not with God, maybe it's with something else, but at least you may be able to find that place.
Thank you.
You're welcome.